Hello, and welcome to our panel on Being for Authors. My name is Stephanie, and I'm here as a moderator. Let me introduce you to our panelists. Ace Blade, King Supreme, and The Ballad of the Black Rose. Danny J. Quick has been writing and publishing comic books independently for a decade and using social media to market and crowdfund for each issue. Danny, welcome to the panel.
Thank you for having me.
Nuhaa Bardien writes stories with swoon-worthy men and strong women. She is the published author of two contemporary romance novels and lives in Cape Town, South Africa with her husband, son, 11-year-old cat, and new kitten. You can find her picking up a new hobby or reading one of the books from her never-ending TBR list. Nuhaa, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So today our panelists will be answering my questions on video marketing. But if you're watching and have questions of your own, please be sure to type them in the chat and we'll make sure our panelists see them. All right. So let's jump into the questions. I'd love to start with Nuha. Can you tell us a little bit about why or how you got into video marketing and why it's something fellow authors should consider as well?
So I started getting into it as soon as I published my first novel. Actually, even before then, because marketing, as you know, starts before the book is even published. And it was such a big thing. Like TikTok and Reels has kind of taken over just like normal static posts on social media. And the interactions, the views, the likes, all of that tends to do a lot better than those static posts. So that's when I started actually taking over those posts completely and mostly doing video content, because the results just kind of show that that's what people wanted.
For me, it was my kids. I missed the boat when it came to the other platform. It was Twitch. And Twitch, I couldn't understand why my children were so obsessed with Twitch. They were watching people play video games and things like that, and I didn't understand it. And then it blew up. Like I missed the boat for it. So then when I saw them having that same interest for TikTok, I was like, I'm not gonna miss this one. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try something. So I decided to just make some videos talking about my comic books, talking about Ace Blade and just the process, the creative process. And I found that I really liked it. I'm a kind of an impulsive creator, and sometimes I'll get an idea. And the great thing is about TikTok is that you can just make it right then and put it out. You don't have to think about it anymore. So I started doing that, and it really was successful for me. And I decided to take it to other platforms also.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I think you kind of mentioned a little bit, but which social media are the most useful for video marketing and does it change depending on the audience? Danny, can I stay with you for that question?
Yeah, and in my opinion, of course, TikTok, I think for small press authors, I think TikTok kind of the platform is about discoverability. It's about finding new things. So it kind of lends to the things that we do. If you make something new, if you make something that's not quite mainstream yet, it kind of gives you a push. The other platforms like YouTube is of course great for video marketing. Instagram was kind of slower to the game, but that one is doing well also with Reels, in my opinion. And I just love kind of just the interactivity about it. People can leave you comments, and then you can literally make a video and reply to that comment. On most of these platforms. So I think a lot of them are taking kind of the best things from each other and applying them to their platforms. But for me, it's TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram for sure.
Great. Nuha, what would you say?
The same as Danny, not YouTube. I have not delved into YouTube as yet. I am still struggling with TikTok and Instagram, kind of, but I think that might be a location thing. For some reason, like a lot of the authors I know in South Africa, their videos kind of get pushed down to international audiences. So I've been trying to kind of get out there and get out of like break out of the little jail that I'm in. It's such a struggle, but I do find that a lot of my interactions and more of my comments and kind of like return on investment comes from Instagram rather than TikTok. But I think I do need to figure out TikTok because that's like what every author says is the way to go.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. And maybe Daniel will teach us some things. So, can we dive a little bit deeper into more specifics with the video marketing? How does it differ from one social media platform to another? Nuha, can I stay with you on that?
Yeah, so with TikTok, the main things that I found is having to make and edit the video in the app makes a big difference because making it outside of the app can actually like suppress the views and how far it gets, as well as staying on trend and within topics. At the moment, one of the big things with TikTok is the creator search insights, which kind of gives you a more narrowed down, specific version of what it is your viewers are looking for. So you can really kind of hone in on that. Um, some of the topics have been really easy for me to jump on, while others are a little bit more time consuming, and I just don't have the time and the moment to actually do that. And I'm thinking this would be so great, or I have a vision and I just can't seem to kind of make it a reality. Versus Instagram, which has been very kind of sort of cut and paste. I have a template, I have an idea, and I kind of just rinse and repeat that because they seem to do really well there. And I can't do that with TikTok. With TikTok, it's like once it's done, it's done. There's no going back to that trend.
So true.
That's really interesting. Now that you say that, Nuha, I think that one of the things that I found successful on Instagram is the consistency. So, like you were saying, you have a template and you use that. I think on Instagram specifically, when people see your stuff, consistently, like you can build an audience like that. Whereas on TikTok, it's all about trends, right? So if you can find a way to adapt whatever's trending to your niche or to your, whatever it is that you're selling, it works better for you. So I think that is, now that you say that, it is one thing that is very different about the two platforms. Of course you can post all kinds of content on each one, but there's definitely an incentive to be consistent in your style or your presentation on Instagram, whereas the TikTok is looking for all kinds of weird, crazy stuff for people to do. So that was a good point.
And so, Danny, when you're choosing like between the different social media platforms, do you change the videos or posts that you do per platform?
I don't necessarily change them, but I don't post everything everywhere. Like TikTok, like I said, because you can post anything there and you never know what's gonna go viral or what's gonna, what part of your audience is gonna hit. I post pretty much everything on TikTok. Any photos that I have, videos, any just random ideas that I have of just talking to the camera, I'll post on TikTok. And I think, the people who follow me there expect like a little behind the scenes stuff. They expect, oh, he's gonna if I have a new variant cover, I'm gonna put it on TikTok first. Whereas Instagram, I put the things that are kind of like, the success posts. I'll say, oh, this, we sold this many comics this week, or or we're gonna be at this event this week or whatever. So I don't post everything to every platform. So it just kind of depends on what I think will be successful on Instagram or YouTube, but everything goes on TikTok.
Okay. So, what type of videos are generally the most successful for you, Danny?
For me, it's always something strange. I like to tell a story, and we started doing this thing where my son has become kind of my marketing manager, or we'll do videos where someone who's bought a comic might say, "Hey, can you sign it in purple ink or whatever?" And I'll be like, I just don't have purple ink right now. And then my son will pop up and say, "Oh, well, I have it. Here you go." And he'll make me, he'll be kind of the enforcer and say whatever the customer wants, the customer gets. So just a little funny family videos have been very successful for me. And then like also little skits and stuff where it might be me talking to another version of me, just talking through ideas. I think people like people like stories. People like stories, whether it's a real story or something that you made up just for them. They want to follow along with the story, and those videos have been, kind of the most successful for me. I wish I had the opportunity to do them more often, but it just depends on what's happening at the time.
It's awesome. I love it. What about for you, Nuha? What type of videos are generally the most successful for you?
I love what you said, Danny, about like getting your family involved and the little skits. I found that with TikTok, exactly that. The kind of sillier, a little bit more me videos have gotten so many more views, especially like where my face is in the video, versus on Instagram, it's the prettier, more aesthetic, very romance related steamy videos. Those do well on Instagram. On TikTok, they kind of just want to like see you and get to know you. And it's so funny because I was listening to a podcast yesterday and they were saying that like your readers want to get to know you because you are the person behind your work. And I was like, that's so true, especially with TikTok, because it's like they just want to get to know you a little bit more, get to know this person behind the story. And I found that doing those kinds of videos, the skits, the little bit funnier things, or like more of me in the video, the talking to yourself thing, those do so well. And even when I'm actually looking at videos, those are the ones that I kind of gravitate towards. So it's definitely so different between the two platforms, but it's so interesting to see because some of these viewers actually overlap, but they want totally different things on each platform.
Yeah, that's true.
So, what is your favorite part of creating the videos for your marketing, Nuha?
I would say it's kind of getting out of my comfort zone and just getting out there and kind of giving a little bit of myself. I wouldn't say I'm super introverted, but it does feel, I mean, it's the internet. It feels quite daunting. So I'm really excited when I have this idea and I finally make the video. I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted. It's such a good feeling.
I think we can relate to that. How about for you, Danny?
Yeah, I think it's all about just, getting out there and making the things that you like. I love the creative process in general, but my favorite parts of it has been, getting my kids into it. Like I said, my son, like he'll his friends at school, all follow me on TikTok now, and they'll, when he's in a video, they all, talk to him about whatever he did in the video, and it's, just him coming back from school and saying, oh, they love this, and maybe somebody saying, oh, I need to get a t-shirt for, one of my friends that likes the videos, so just him being part of the creative process. And my daughters, they're artists and they want to draw and share their work on my platform, so that's really my favorite part of it. All the rest of it is just icing on the cake.
Okay, so as you're talking about your stories and your marketing, how can you accurately portray your story in the videos that you're making? Danny, why don't we stay with you?
That's tough because it's like we were saying earlier about being consistent. I think if you can, and this is not something that I thought about when I started, but if you have, themes that are in your stories, or you know beforehand what it is that you want to show to people, what it is that you want people to see, or the message that you want people to get, it can be easier to stay consistent um, in your marketing. And because of the way that the algorithms work, I think it rewards the consistency, in your story. So if you're the type of person who, likes to argue, if you're the person that likes to debate people and things like that, and you consistently, go in the comments and find somebody to debate with, you're going to start to get those kind of followers of people that want to debate with you. And if you're the kind who, wants to share art and wants to critique art and things like that, those people are going to start to follow you. But if you do things too kind of left or right, or make those big swings, I think it can kind of confuse your marketing strategy, and it can kind of, you know, make people not believe your story, which is always bad for marketing. If you are one way with one group of people and then another way with other group of people, people aren't going to be able to believe you. And like Nuhaa said, they want to get to know you, right? And if you are consistently being you, then that's the best way to accurately portray yourself, in my opinion.
Great, thank you. That makes total sense. Nuhaa, what would you add to that?
I definitely agree with you. The consistency and the kind of, like, I would say, refining your audience and making sure that that's the like who you are targeting, and making sure that the content, it kind of reflects that. Also on both platforms, you want to be sure that I don't know if this is specific to fiction writing. Danny can maybe add to this, but what is so important is having those hooks, because you're basically trying to sell a book that's maybe 300 pages with one like 30 to 60-second video. So you have to make sure that whatever it is that you're putting out there grabs their attention. And sometimes that's so hard. But once you find that, a lot of authors have found that you can kind of recycle it over and over again, because it keeps on finding the audience and it keeps growing. It just kind of needs to get out there and reach the audience that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm terrible with hooks, but I 100% agree with you.
Maybe that should be another panel, right?
Right.
All right. So, Nuhaa, you actually just mentioned the audience that you're looking for. So, how do you make sure to join the right audience for your books? Can you talk about that?
So at the moment, because I kind of started a new TikTok because I wanted it to be purely author based. My other one was kind of mixed up and the algorithm was wild. So what I've been doing is making sure that I follow the readers that I'm looking for, and also interacting, making sure that they know who I am, and then posting what it is I want the readers to know about me and my books. So I want them to know that I'm a POC writer, and my characters in my books, a few of the main characters are as well. And then I also like try and push the, it's romance. That's so kind of just making sure that they know exactly what it is they're getting into. And I found that and the interacting together kind of helps me find the exact target person I'm looking for. And then with TikTok's algorithm, which is so great, is that it kind of keeps giving and feeding back that same people, and more people like them to me. So that's been amazing. With Instagram, it's such a big pool of people that I follow, that follow me. It's not as refined as TikTok is. So it's so difficult to kind of balance those two platforms, and figure out a way to make both of them work. But it seems to be doing something.
I
Sometimes
think,
that's all we can ask.
yeah, I think that interactive part that you were talking about is so important. When it comes to TikTok and even platforms like Kickstarter. Like I buy a lot of books on Kickstarter nowadays. I'm always supporting other creators on Kickstarter. If they have a Kickstarter, I want to share it. I want to engage with them when they have content, because I know those things are important. So, kind of joining in with the audience that, I want to support my work and I want to support their work. And there's a genuine dialogue and a genuine, want to support each other there, in these kind of groups. And then, comic book fans, it seems like it's a small niche, especially like if you're a Black comic book writer, who does superheroes, it might seem like a small niche, but like you said, the algorithms have done such a great job of connecting us. If you said in a video that you like Miles Morales, you're probably going to run into an Ace Blade video someday, so if you put the content out there and consistently, like we said before, it'll definitely connect you with the right people. And then you just have to make sure that you engage and do your part to stay connected to them, not just put out the content, but engage in other people's content and follow, and be a part of the community.
Great advice. Thank you, Danny. Okay, so I think it's case study time. For you, what video has performed the best so far, and why do you think it particularly popped off? Danny, can I stay with you on that?
Oh man. I had a video which was titled "That Customer Who Wants to Argue All the Time," right? And it was a video where, I played a customer who came into, we had a small a brick and mortar for a little while, and this customer came in and he wanted to fuss about why it took so long for us to get our comic books out. We're indie, it takes us 6 to 8 months to do a comic book. And at first he was mad. He was like, "Oh, this isn't as good as Batman. This is not this." But the conversation that we had, ended up turning him into a fan. So we did like 3 or 4 of those videos, and the third one really popped off. Like it had like 2 million views or something like that, and it was a real increase in sales, things like that. But it was just a hilarious just interaction based on something that happened in real life, based on a real customer interaction that said, "Man, why does it take y'all so long to put out a new book? I want the next issue." But the person started off as somebody who was, resistant to getting into something new because, indie comics aren't as consistent as Batman or Superman. So yeah, that video did amazing well for us. And I want to do more stuff like that for sure.
Nuha, how about for you? What has popped off for you so far?
Honestly, Danny, 2 million, that is amazing. That's really great. So funny. Two videos have done really well. They are two completely different videos. The one is, I don't know if you've seen it, if you're on like I think it's a very romance book talk thing, where you have a little page with the highlights on it. And it's a bit of a spicy scene. And the backdrop of that video is like a shirtless man torso. And that one's doing really well. And it's so weird to me. I don't know why. And then the other one is one I did with my face. And that one did really well as well. And I was like, I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. It's both so different, but those two keep bringing people back to my page. And I actually don't know what it is about them.
Well, whatever it is, we got to bottle that magic. So,
Yeah.
all right. So, if we have authors who are listening and they are now ready to get started with their own video marketing, what checklist would you give them to help them at least get started? Nuha, can I start with you?
Yes. So I would say, again, the hooks are so important. What I've been doing now is while I'm writing, highlighting what I think would be like an amazing hook and get someone into the scene. That's so important because if you have like a few of them, you can reuse it on different kind of templates and formats. And then also making sure that you're defining the audience that it is that you're looking for. So I found that if I solely focus on following and interacting with the people and the readers and the other authors that I want to kind of be associated with and have kind of work with my book and vice versa, um, making sure that you have that, because if you don't, it can kind of get drowned out in the giant void that is the algorithm. So making sure that it's quite refined as you're going along.
Danny, what checklist would you give to authors who want to get started?
Yes, absolutely. Similar to Nahu, I would say um, consistency of the themes. Like we said earlier, if you know what you want to say to people, I think starting off, it will help you a lot to know those things off the top of your head. When you make videos, if you're talking about if you want to do funny videos, make sure you try to be funny. Make sure if you want to do personal, emotional videos, make sure you always provide something personal to you. Second of all, I would say, be yourself. Like we said earlier, people want to learn about you. They want to know you. They want to connect with you as an author. A lot of times before they want to get involved with your work, they want to know who it is that they're supporting. And then, of course, also I would say that community building part is so important. Interact with other people. Don't just expect people to come and support you. You got to support other people too.
Great advice. Thank you. Thank you very much. Listen, I'm sure there's so much more to say on this topic, and hopefully our viewers have been typing their questions in the chat. So we are about to jump back into the conversation over in our conference Discord. As we wrap up today, why don't we have each of our panelists maybe tell us about any projects they'd like to shout out and how can we find them after the conference? Danny, can we start with you?
Absolutely. I'm trying my best to get Ace Blade 9, issues 9 and 10 done this year. So definitely look out for that. If you want to find me, the best place to go is my website, fourthwallpros.com. I'm also on the Foretales podcast every Friday at 8 p.m. And then on social media, you can follow me at the Ace Blade on all social media platforms.
Perfect. Thank you. Nuha, is there anything you'd like to shout out and how can we find you after the conference?
So I'm currently working on a Christmas novella that has nothing to do with the series that I was busy with. And you can find me at Nuhaa Writes on all my social media, and then nuhaawrites.com is my website.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we've come to the end. I'd like to thank our panelists for their time and their willingness to share their expertise. We will stay in the Discord chat a little longer to continue answering questions from our WriteHive 2025 panelists. I hope you had some aha moments today. We can't wait to talk with you more. On behalf of WriteHive, thank you so much for joining us and have a great day.